The previews for the Universes Beyond Warhammer 40k decks keep pouring on in. I'll put a link in the description below to the mini wargaming video where they got to reveal both Magnus and the Horus Heresy. I'll do a whole video on the Horus Heresy a little bit later. That'll probably come out tomorrow morning. Magnus the motherfucking Red, the best Primarch. I guess we should unpack this for people that aren't familiar with exactly what these are, people coming from Magic the Gathering. We see that he is a Primarch. Primarchs are the progenitors of Space Marine chapters. They are the initial inventions, creations of the Emperor. That gene seed was used to then improve upon the human physiology of the Astartes, the Adeptus Astartes, genetically modified warriors. Magnus is the leader of the Thousand Sons, and the Thousand Sons themselves do take on traits of Magnus. That's how the Astartes project and the Primarchs work. In many ways, think of the Primarchs like Greek gods or superheroes, but they have inherent abilities that then manifest somewhat into their children, the other Space Marines. Magnus is a big red man with wings, and he is one of the best, if not the best, spellcaster in the universe. Or the Emperor himself at one point or another might have an argument against that, but fuck him. Magnus is the big daddy. He's a Daemon Primach though, because some of the Primarchs during the Horus Heresy fell to the ruinous powers. They fell to chaos. Magnus is an actual really interesting one that I won't go into too much. He didn't just turn against the Emperor like Horus and the rest of them did. He was actually kind of set up by Horus and ended up getting beaten the shit out of by Leman Russ on the planet of Prospero, but there's just so much to unpack there that I don't want to go into too much right now. So he fell after his father had inadvertently betrayed him because of the machinations of Horus. Magnus fell to the dark powers, and he took more and more power from Zeech, the god of magic, cunning, and knowledge, and that manifested in changing his body and his appearance, and now he's more chicken-like than ever. The Magnus you're seeing on screen is my Magnus. This is what I painted up. If you want to see him in battle against the Custodes alongside units like Be'lakor, there'll be a link in the cards to a battle report I did with Quipster. So, what does he do? Well, he is a 5-mana, blue and red Daemon Primach. He's a 4 power, 5 toughness. Of course, he's legendary, so he can be a commander. I think I'm going to build Magnus as well. Initially, when I had seen him, I got to see these a bit earlier, I'd seen him and I was a bit disappointed because I love Magnus so much. But actually, I've really come around to how powerful and interesting of a commander he is. He has flying like he does on the tabletop, and he has big fucking wings, that makes sense, right? He has 2 abilities, 2 static lines of text. The bottom one is the least impressive. Whenever Magnus the Red deals combat damage to a player, create a 3/3 red spawn creature token. This is a reference to his weapon in the game. When it slays enemies, it will create chaos spawn. It's also an element of the chaotic chaos energies within him, the Thousand Sons, and other people who associate with the Thousand Sons, where they can transform or be transformed into these spawn, not demons, but spawn, mutated chaos entities. So he creates a token. Yeah, I guess so. The other line of text, though, is so much more exciting, both from a mechanical and power level perspective and what it means in terms of theme and flavor. His unearthly power. Instants and sorcery spells you cast 1 less to cast for each creature token you control. That's right, we finally have a commander that cares about tokens and spell slinging. Well, there's been a few before. I guess Tarrand is arguably one of these things too. But Magnus the Red is different to that. He isn't making tokens off of spells. He isn't the payoff in that sense. He makes expensive spells, or any spells, cheaper due to the number of tokens you control. I'm not going to do a huge upgrade list. There's loads of stuff you can play with this guy. Murmuring Mystics and Young Pyromancers are the obvious ones, and then my mind went straight to expensive draw spells and any extra turn spells too. My initial disappointment of the fact that Magnus the Red is the most powerful Psyker in the universe, or one of, and his Warlord trait on current tabletop rules is that he knows, and I quote, all of the spells, or all of the spells that Thousand Sons have access to. So he's got this big sort of sideboard tech toolkit that he has access to, which the card doesn't manifest. Beyond that as well, he is a spellcaster who can transcend the barriers of the material. He can move across time and space in both the Horus Heresy and in the contemporary 40k landscape as well. These things are not on the card. I guess the problem with Magnus the Red and me being such a fanboy of him is that, well, he's complicated. His power level is all over the fucking shop depending on who's writing him and what he can do. So much like a character like Superman, for example, it's very hard to nail down Magnus as a card. The actual reducing of costs thanks to the minions that he controls or has in play with him is actually really on point for power. Magnus, when he did the wrong thing, and let's get this out of the way now. People say Magnus did nothing wrong. Magnus did a lot wrong during the heresy. Mainly, he was an arrogant wanker who would not listen to his right-hand man, Ahriman, who's a much more tragic hero, if you ask me, who, by the way, is in the art of this card. That means we're probably not getting an Ahriman on disc or Ahriman card, but they're leaving some stuff for the next time we revisit 40k, I guess. But I'm glad to see Ahriman somewhere in this. Magnus's fall is a complicated and long story, but the very basic kernel of it that I wasn't going to go into, but I think it's relevant for this ability, is that he heard that Horus may be betraying the Emperor. He actually heard it from a demon, an entity in the warp, and he wanted to tell his father this information, but he was on Prospero whilst his father was on Earth, and there's millions of light years between them. I say millions of light years, the exact distance I don't know, I'm not a fucking scientist. So in order to warn his father, he decided to take his soul from his body and go into the Immaterium and move through the warp to get to Earth to tell his father the grave and important news that Horus may well be betraying him. In order to do this, he had 1,000 psychers a day help him, and these psychers were ripped apart and destroyed in the process of him sort of manifesting bigger and more powerful spells by using the psychic energy of those around him. Long story short, when he gets to Earth, he trips the psychic defenses of the planet, allows demons into the palace, upsets his father, and sets in course a whole chain of events where his father, the Emperor, sends Leman Russ after him, and Horus does a little bit of a game of telephone, telling Leman Russ that is not to apprehend Magnus but to kill him. In some ways, Magnus set up his own fall through his own arrogance by not really considering the fact that he doesn't know quite the powers that he was playing with at the time. Magnus feels like a very powerful combo commander. You can probably get some ludicrous storm lines off or just cast extra turn spells for cheap. I'm really excited to see what people do with this commander. Another reason that I really like the design, and fuck, you must think I'm a fanboy at this point in time, gushing. I positively dampen the pantaloons with this stuff. But the other reason I like Magnus, perhaps, I'm going to build Be'lakor first, but I like him a bit more than, oh fuck, he can go into Be'lakor. Oof. Jesus Christ, I forgot he was a demon. Anyway, the reason I like him more than Be'lakor from a design standpoint, even if I want to play Be'lakor more as a game piece, is that Magnus is doing something unique. Be'lakor is just becoming the best demon commander and will probably outdo most demon commanders in the future, where Magnus is this space we haven't had yet, this weird token / spellslinger thing that we've seen on Young Peasy. We've kind of been waiting for a legendary Young Peasy. I guess Tarowan is the legendary Young Peasy. But this marries blue and red together, gives us a token sub-theme, and allows us to cast our spells for cheap. What more could you want? So what do you think? Are you building Magnus the Red? Are you excited? Have you ordered the fucking Ruinous Powers? If you haven't, use the link in the description below, the code Kenobi at coolstuffinc.com to get 5% off your order. Thanks for watching. Let me know what you think in the comment section below, and I'll see you all soon. Ta-ta for now.